Hello everyone, this is Sergei Sputnikoff, and thank you for joining for another episode of Ushanka Show. And today is another story from my Soviet childhood. So my previous episode, I told you how confused I was when I saw the typed wanted ad done by my friend, and just because I believed so much any printed words, I had a really hard time to process reading total nonsense. So my brain said no, but my heart was saying yes, it's the truth. So that was when I was about 11. So my other experience with wanted posters was probably about 3 years later, so I was about 14, 15. And we were on the way to the library. So I already made a video about the Soviet era libraries. If you missed it, link will be below in the comment section. But anyways, we discovered that, I can't say it was close. If I had my own car, it was about probably 10, 15 minutes drive. But by public transportation and walking, it was a good hour and a half to get to the library. And then, of course, you gotta go back. But it had a best selection of books for teenagers. So a couple of my friends, it was our weekly trips. And if we missed the bus and didn't want to wait another 20 minutes for another bus, we would just walk to the library, and we walked by the local police office, but of course in Soviet Union we called them militia, and that place had outside special affiche, and they had wanted posters. That's the only time I saw them. They wouldn't be all over the place. They never be on TV. It's interesting. It's like Soviet Union, they were hiding kind of bad information, trying to present the whole life like it's a paradise town. But that was the first time I saw, this rough-looking faces, and Razыскивается, so wanted, and it says that what kind of crime he committed, and how to recognize him, tattoos, facial features. This is the face, and that was the first time. Of course, I believed it 100%. It's printed, typed pictures involved, and it's right next to militia office. But I believe that was the first time when I had my bubble popped. So I lived in this bubble, safety bubble, because when you never see bad news on TV, in newspapers, it feels like, you don't need to lock your door in your apartment. It's just everything is hunky-dory, I think the expression. And suddenly I'm reading these guys this criminal is, breaking into apartments. This one was a robbery. We tried to rob Sberkassa, so it's a bank, and he was being armed, and he already was in prison several times. So that was, I believe, first time when I was just my heart skipped a beat, and I was like, okay, this is kind of bad. There's criminals around us. We just don't know about them. But so that was when I experienced real wanted posters. And also on the same board, there was also pictures of car crashes. So once again, they were never had a presentation, on TV, this is a car crash, semi truck, crashed the car and people died or something like that. It was nothing in newspapers, nothing on TV. But they thought it's a good idea to show wrecked cars as the warning to drivers, hey, this is what happens when you do speeding, when you do drunk driving. So that was also another shock, because I never seen a single car crash in my life. I lived in the Soviet Union for 20 years. I never seen a single car crash ever. And I lived in the city, right, in the capital, Kiev, capital of Ukraine. So there were quite a few cars, not of course now, but still was plenty of cars, buses, trucks, whatever, public transportation. Not a single car crash I've seen in my life. And here I'm just seeing this, cars all messed up, mingled. They didn't show any, bodies or blood, but still I was like, holy cow. So that was another kind of scare shock, was seeing the wrecked cars. And it was the first time when I was like, oh my goodness, it's actually not as safe as I thought to live in the city, to live in my country. There's plenty of bad guys, and there's plenty of bad things that happened in the Soviet Union. So once again, this is probably 1985, somewhere there. So 1 year before Chernobyl. And of course, When Chernobyl happened, then that's why I realized that the Soviet government likes to hide bad news. I already made a video on that topic, how we basically learned about what was going on in my city in Kiev through the enemy voices. So Voice of America, radio, was those one from Germany, Deutsche Welle, right? The Radio Free Europe. They were telling us like stay indoors, have windows closed, all that stuff. And I was also like, what are they talking about? Our government said you're fine. So, but I came later, and I already have a video on that topic too, so I'll post the link to below in case you missed that video. So there's another short story about me learning about realities and life in the Soviet Union through the wanted posters that was only placed near to militia office, never on newspapers, on TV. So anyway, thank you for watching the Ushanka Show. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please don't forget to like it, and we'll talk to you soon. До побачення. Goodbye.